This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by productivity authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Experience with myself, Adam Strong, and I'm here today with the amazing Gavin Preston. Gavin has actually worked on a previous project with myself. If you ever had listened to the Game Changers Summit, Gavin was also part of that project with 30 of the world's leading industry authorities. And so Gavin is a business strategist, but is also a business growth mentor and also a podcaster. He's got a great podcast called Business Mastermind, which he'll tell you about as well. So Gavin, just want to say welcome to the Game Changers Experience.
Thank you so much, Adam. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. So I know that we know each other fairly well, but just for the benefit of people from around the world, would you just give us a bit of a snapshot about how you, I suppose, call yourself or position yourself as a business strategist and stuff like that?
Yes, the work I do is I help businesses to scale and grow. And I call myself a business strategist because one of the questions that people often ask or always ask, once they've got clear about where they want to head to, they ask, how am I going to get there? And that's the strategy piece. But my flair in that space for strategy came from the early stages of my career in chartered accountancy and qualifying with KPMG. And in the final exams, there was a case study paper, and that was asking you to pull together all your bits of knowledge from the different disciplines of the subject, whether that be tax, whether it be business growth, whether that be cash management or whatever, and present a report, a piece of advice to a client. And it was the best paper mark, best mark for any paper that I'd ever had. And it actually the mark for that bit led to me winning a prize for the best student in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales for their Northwest region in the UK. So that it's only now you look back, that Steve Jobs quote, you join the dots by looking backwards. Out of the whole accountancy training piece, don't ask me to do a tax computation or detailed accounts, but talk to me big picture about what you need to do to get your business, humming, flying in the zone, then I'm your guy. And I had a flair for it then. And I think what the flair now I would articulate it is the ability to join the dots together in a way that makes it work. And when I go into a business, whether I look at some strategy models that I use as lenses through which to look at your business to help to shine the light on opportunities for differentiation, or whether I'm just standing back and listening to the way that they describe the business and listening to, hey, there's an area of brilliance over here, but they are taking it for granted. And so I join these dots together in a way that actually creates a plan for growth, the strategy, the how-to for growth. And then my second part that I do is I engage and fire up the team so that they want to be able to deliver.
Nice.
So it's a mixture of skill sets, really, from having that initial accountancy finance background and spending a huge amount of time in the behavioural change space with NLP and coaching and exec coaching, and then adding on the skill sets around marketing and strategy and my experience around ops, plus 25 years of experience of virtually up until lockdown. Every single week I would be in a different business, so I've seen a lot over 25 years of the patterns and the trends in business.
How did you? Because I know I've met quite a few people that have made the transition from, I suppose, conventional accountancy into, their passions, whether it be business strategy or coaching or whatever it might be. What was the reason why you decided to leave KPMG and start up your own company?
Pretty much after, there was one step, kind of like 1.5 steps in between, and that was working for BAE Systems. So they came and headhunted me after my qualification. I kind of got on their radar because I'd won that prize. And so they came and they, to quite honest, gave me an offer at the age of 26 that I couldn't refuse. So I went for that. And what I also wanted to do was to be able to kind of start to create a bridge between a CV that just said accountancy and my passion for personal development, growth, and helping people to, behaviorally improve their performance. And whilst I did an internal management consultancy role and a finance role within BAE Systems, my bridge that came, which was phenomenal, was an opportunity to park effectively or pause the accountancy finance piece and take a secondment in the internal or corporate university of BAE Systems. So we were working on change programs. We were working on facilitating boards of directors and multi-million pound business units to improve their game. At this stage, I was heavily involved in my training in NLP and coaching. And I managed, one of my projects was to introduce a high performance coaching capability to the top 650 directors around the world. And I brought in Michael Breen, who was Paul McKenna's business partner, who I learned an awful lot from in terms of business master practitioner, etc., and became his apprentice. He came in with a stellar team, a first class team that included, the famous the pretty well known author Dr. Robert Holden, who wrote books like Shift Happens, for example. Shift Happens, yeah. So and to work with a team like that was just really accelerating my growth. And I find myself in a position where I was like a duck to water in this new topic area. Wasn't that new because I'd spent 3 or 4 years in my own personal time and paid course time from BAE Systems in skilling myself up in the field of master business practitioner of NLP.
So I suppose BAE Systems gave you that opportunity, that window of opportunity, and it was kind of this platform where you could, I suppose, diversify and I suppose, kind of develop some new skills.
Yeah, it opened the door to a new world, and then to develop some skills and get some experience working alongside people that were obviously more experienced than me at that stage. But then change in leadership, change in culture. 2002, I decided to take voluntary redundancy, and I set up on my own. And I think in hindsight, even I should have pushed harder to get a consulting job with a bigger firm in this space around organizational development and change and leadership. But my CV still pretty much said accountant and a secondment, so I did find that quite difficult. But I had a lead at this stage from all the work I'd been doing on the Master Business Practitioner, the Business Practitioner program with Michael Breen. There was a lady in the audience was head of learning and development for a city firm, and they were looking for a new coach for their team. And that gig became the launch of my business back in 2002.
Wow. So you've been running your own business for over 18 years now. Congratulations.
Yeah. I've survived. Yeah.
It's really cool. I was going to say to you, when you were at BAE Systems, what did you really take from that, apart from the new skills that you developed? How did you did you have a mentor or a coach yourself within the company that helped you because you mentioned about, I suppose, being taken under a wing or being someone's apprentice, if you like. Did you look up to anybody, and how did that help you in developing your leadership skills as well?
Yeah, there's one internal and one external. So the external one was Michael Breen, and he taught me a phenomenal amount of how to take the applications or the tool set of operating system of NLP and apply it to a business specific environment. And also gave tools to facilitate groups of people, to problem solve, to coach. So there were specific disciplines given through that experience and that training that enabled me to apply it with groups of people and individuals within an organization. So yes, I looked up to him immensely, and he taught me, in terms of pure skill set and experience, a good deal of what I know in terms of the coaching space and the shifting, changing, and working with groups and presenting, etc. Then there was a colleague, a friend actually, used to be a really good friend of mine, who was 9 years older than me. He'd moved into the secondment role before. He'd done or was doing a master's in management learning, so he had some of the more academic processes and interventions that you could use with groups. So I co-delivered events with him, or co-facilitated events with him, and to watch the way that he engaged with groups, the way he designed an event, the way he dealt with the dynamics of a group was really good training. I supplemented that with further training as well. So training specifically in facilitation skills, as well as on top of everything else that I'd done. So yes, having the internal coach to work alongside, mentor to work alongside, and the external mentor worked really well for me.
Nice. I love it. Now, I know that there are businesses right now that are going through some immense challenges right now. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about SARS virus, Ebola, or the recession, 9/11, COVID. It doesn't really matter which of the world's I suppose you could call it disasters, challenges, or whatever it is, but it brings a whole set of new challenges for businesses, right? And what have you noticed? Are there any common patterns that you have noticed in particular? That what is it that businesses need to do when they go into what I call survival mode, and how does it they need to get into the kind of thriving mode? Is there any kind of common patterns that you've seen over the years?
Yeah, I think there's some things you absolutely have to get right in order to be able to sort this out. So they need cash usually, and I've actually turned that into a mnemonic for the 4 stages that they need to look at that spell cash, just to be memorable. So the first thing is confidence. You need to have confidence in your ability to be able to get through this, to be able to plan, to be able to come up with innovative potential solutions to a changing and complex world and environment. So if you go into this with we're doomed, you're screwed. So and actually interesting, I'm seeing right now kind of 3 mindsets from business owners. One is their head is in the sand in hibernation, thinking that if they pop their head up in September, the world will be okay again and it'll all be a distant in the rearview mirror. No, it won't. There's another set that actually recognize it won't be like that in September, who are paralyzed in their thinking because are we going to have a second wave? Is there going to be more governmental supports, whether it be furlough, whether it be further subsidized loans, etc.? What's going to happen to their pipeline of work? When do they bring people back? And they're in overwhelm about the amount of decisions to be made, but to be made in an environment of complete and total uncertainty, which you'd never had to deal with before. And fundamental with this, and the third group are those that are going, whenever you've got instability, there's opportunity. Here's our opportunity to grow market share, they're innovating quick, and they're coming to market with, in an iterative fashion, they're coming to market with updated offerings. And for me, the difference between certainly the middle group that are paralyzed and the second that are outwardly chasing for and achieve the opportunity is mindset.
Yeah.
So the C in the analogy of cash around the survive piece is the C is confidence. You've got to have the mindset that one way or another, you have the ability, your team has the ability, you'll find a way through this. And most business owners, the journey of business is a roller coaster and will have had tough times before and have survived that. The second thing you need to do, the A of the cash model, is to analyze what outstanding money can you collecting from debtors. It's to analyze where you've got a leaky bucket in terms of cost running out your business that you no longer need to do, so where you need to cut back, to analyze opportunities in the marketplace, listening to the customers, etc. The S is kind of like smooth, save and sell. And what I mean by those kind of 3 S's is smoothing cash flows is something that not many those that plan cash flow forecasts do, but many organized small businesses don't. And what that means is that you could get your cash in at one time, but that comes in 60 days after you've had to pay out at the end of the month for your employees. The end of your month, you've had to pay out for raw materials. Then you've had to pay out for overhead, utility bills or whatever. So all your cash has gone out before it's come back in, and that gap is obviously very dangerous, but potentially terminal for any business if you haven't got the cash available to meet your liabilities when they become due. So, for example, I went into a client's business last year who had a significant contract that was 80% of their order book, and they got paid on this significant contract just in 4 very significant payments. So there were big peaks, and there were big troughs, there were big holes. So what I did was negotiated with the customer that they paid us monthly, And then I negotiated, there was 4 very significant subcontractors in terms of price and contractual value. And I negotiated payment with them. And so it just matched out inflows and outflows, and it smoothed that cash flow out, and it worked.
Nice.
It also had, without this swings as well, if the swings went the wrong way around of that quarter, certainly in the UK, then you could actually find yourself paying out a chunk of that, which would worsen your cash flow position as well. So it sorted all of that out. So the smoothing bit is sort your cash flows out, then get off your backside and sell, save where you can and sell. And I talk about that. And the final H is help. You know, we're all in this together. And if we can look for collaboration over competition, then we're going to survive. And I think naturally, as the human race, we've survived because we've been able to adapt, but we've survived by adapting in tribes, in teams, in groups of people. And I think that's what we need to be reaching out. You know, on the other side of that question, please, can you help me, is a reservoir of compassion, of understanding, of resources, of contacts, of genuine help. You know, so in order to survive, get confident you can do it. Look what your status of your numbers of your business. Look where you can smooth out the cash flows. Sell, get more revenue in, save, and then bring people around you that can help you, and vice versa, you can help them.
Sound advice there, Gavin, actually, because, you know, it's interesting because I know that I had a couple of conversations actually in the last few weeks. And one of the conversations was actually with a business who was a bit silly of them, actually, but 90% of their business was with one client, exclusivity. And the thing is, because their eggs were all in one basket, they effectively lost that client. And then so their business is in like major emergency. Have you come across that, where you've come across businesses where they've maybe given an exclusivity deal, or they're working with one?
Yeah. There was a client of mine in the past. I've been working with them on my W business program that I used to run, and they manufactured picture frames.
Oh, yeah.
And 90% of their business came from Amazon.
No.
And Amazon were changing their vendor programs, and they put them. They created at this time, a few years back, a program called the vendor dropship. So Amazon was selling the product as if it was an Amazon product, but the factory, my client, were dispatching them directly to the customer from the factory, vendor dropship. And Amazon made an error when they shifted them over from one internal kind of like sales program, the vendor program, to the vendor dropship program. All the listings disappeared. Oh. And so overnight, 90% of the business just disappeared. And it took 6 weeks for Amazon to sort the mess out and get the listing back up again. Now, for some time previously, the business had been going well, and I'd been banging on, going on about the very point you just made. Look, too much risk, too much exposure, all your eggs in one basket. And they said, you know, with good reason, look, we're maxed out. We haven't got any more bandwidth. And they really were working very, very hard. So when this thing happened with going off the cliff, I always believe when a business is going well and it's scaling well, there's always going to be a moment when a phrase I use is the wheels fall off the wagon. And every business that I work with to scale quickly, there was a moment where you think, my God, this is working. We've nailed this. We've smashed this. And then you get, a complete curveball that comes in. The wheels fall off the wagons and people go, oh, that's the end of the world. This isn't working. And I just go, this is meant to happen.
Yep.
Before every level, there's a new devil at every level, or there's always a breakdown before a breakthrough. And I think it's just as a test.
But also, do you think it's kind of complacency as well?
I think it's some of that. I think it's, oh my God, we've magically wondrously found the silver bullet. Hey, we're sorted now. So back to that particular client, in that 6 week period, they got listed on two other sort of selling platforms. And the month then, so by the second month then that Amazon came back on, because it was Amazon and they were active on two other platforms, they had the very best month that they'd ever had in their business to date.
Wow.
So these kind of setbacks usually emerge, if you deal with it correctly, even better than you were beforehand.
Absolutely. Very cool. Interesting question, actually, because I know that businesses are going through challenges all the time, as you've highlighted. But I think that what I find from conversations, and I'm sure that you probably feel the same as well, is businesses that struggle to adapt to change quick enough. That's the first thing. But secondly, are there any particular strategic models or anything in particular that could help business owners and entrepreneurs, help them to get them back into, I suppose, back into a kind of a mode where they feel like they're in control?
Yeah, sure. If I can answer to me, the two quite distinct questions. If I answer the first one about willingness to change and adaptability, I've been having, as you know, I've got a great relationship with HSBC, and I've been having a number of conversations inside the bank, understanding what's coming back to them from their business customers. What are the needs of their business customers? And the thing that's coming up at the moment is the need for greater adaptability. So I've been doing some research around that, and actually the podcast that went out last week and the one that'll go out tomorrow, I've done a 2-part on adaptability.
Oh.
And so because the research, but what I wanted to dive into, because it links most specifically to what you talked about change, is the US consulting firm Bain & Co. Have produced some work around increasing and developing your change power, i.e., companies to develop a high capacity to handle change. Mm-hmm. And they're saying if you want to develop that high capacity to handle change, you need 3 things. They subdivided each of those 3 into a further 3 subset. But let me just kind of paraphrase the top level, easy for me to say. So the top level is, number 1, you need direction. Back to my point earlier on about people struggling, being paralyzed in their thinking because of the uncertainty. More than ever, you need the North Star. The analogy of your sat nav. No matter the roadworks or the roadblocks or traffic jams you come up on on the journey, your sat nav reroutes you, but it's still locked onto where you're heading. Right. And that's massively important. And I'll link it back to purpose, which is stage 1 of the strategy compass, which is the second half of the book, the Thrive part of the book is based on. But the work popularized by Simon Sinek around, start with why, I think is all the more important now in the midst of the storm. Why are we doing this? Where's our North Star? Where are we heading? Because that helps you put change into the context. The sat-nav's rerouting us rather than it's changing our whole world. So direction is the first one. The second one is flexing your capacity. And I've been talking about this for a little while now. I think because we've got so much uncertainty and change, you will see companies seeking to change the proportion of their overhead from fixed cost towards a variable cost. So people won't need as bigger offices. They'll work from home and just use meeting spaces. You'll see, I believe, employers staffing up in terms of employed headcount to the troughs in demand, and they will fulfill and meet the needs of the peaks in demand through freelancers, through subcontractors, through the gig economy, as an example. Yeah. So your ability to flex capacity, month 1 of lockdown, Amazon recruit 100,000 new people to work in driving and their distribution centers. And this third stage is building a culture that is pro change, that is it's a culture that really embraces change, is a change orientated culture is what Bain & Co. So not these people that have accepted change as the only constant. These are the people that rush out, grab it with both hands, because the more agile we can be, the more iterative and innovative we can be, the more we're going to succeed and steal a greater share of the marketplace.
Nice.
Yeah, so direction, flexing your capacity, and then building a culture that is really change orientated so you can be very nimble. Love it.
Very cool. Sound advice. Because I know that you did some stuff with, because I believe that you developed a program with HSBC, didn't you? And quite a few years back. And
yeah, it's about to kind of start again, but virtually. So it was going to start physically, but it's not. It's now going to be on Zoom. But yeah, so 2014, 2015, I had the great privilege and opportunity to to speak to their audiences of customers and prospective customers. And after a couple of pilot programs, it became adopted nationally, and we did 84 events over 2 years. And that was 84 events all over the UK, where they put anywhere between 30 and 175 people in a room. And I delivered an event called Strategies for Growth. And it was very much around what are the strategic trends, what are some of the operational things you need to do to scale your business, what are some of the marketing strategies that are working right now, and then mindset. What are the mindset things you need to be paying attention to?
Was it more of a market research thing, or was it kind of more of a workshop based?
Oh, no, it was a workshop based. So I was doing a one-day workshop for their customers, and the feedback was phenomenal. There were people saying it was the single best one-day event that they've ever been to. And many people would say, I thought I'd give it a go until coffee break, and I'm here all day. This is amazing. So because I spent a lot of time working inside the system of HSBC, so I knew their world. And then I spent a lot of time working with entrepreneurs and their customers. I knew their world. And so I'm able to really talk the language right. And my approach is really sort of pragmatic, down to earth. These are the things that have been tried and tested and work. This is where I believe you need help. This is what we can do to help fix it. Very
cool. Now, I know that you've got a new book coming out called Survive and Thrive. How to serve, scale and succeed in business? Is that, have I said that correct?
Yeah, how to secure. So that's the survival bit, so how to secure your platform for growth. It's how to secure, scale and succeed in business.
Tell us some more about that and why you wrote the book.
Yeah, Survive and Thrive. For me, it started its life off with me sharing the strategies that I'd learned over 25 years, and I've been using with businesses to, in many cases, double them in less than a year. So it started off with the context of thriving. And I was sharing the 6 stages of the strategy compass model, which is my proven model that I use in order to be able to create that. And the model just brings, nothing in it is new, but it brings together in one place, in a comprehensive view, what you need to scale a business. So, for example, you get books on mindset, and you get books on strategy, but rarely do you get books on strategy and mindset and the operational things you need to do to scale, for example. So I brought that all together. And then I also was working on the book last year in 2019. The world, certainly in the UK, didn't feel like thriving. There's all the media sort of fuss around Brexit and around the general election, and this was affecting demand, all that uncertainty. Hey, we're somehow getting used to this uncertainty, are we? and then I just thought, hold on, there's some businesses, it feels to me, and I know from talking to businesses that are in survival mode. So the front part of the book was written then, really. It became the front part, which is the survive piece. This is, before we go on a journey of growth, we need to secure that platform of growth. And then, so that's the survive piece. And then there's the whole 6-stage strategy compass that will enable your business to thrive.
Yeah, because I know that I was going to say, you've got your strategy compass, which I know that we were speaking off air about, and how it can be, I suppose, applied to people, to businesses that, maybe are they're kind of in between places right now, because I know that some businesses are still stuck in the survival mode, but then there are some businesses that are thinking to themselves, you know what, I'd really like to grow my business. For the businesses that are listening in, and, because I know that a lot of our listeners are business owners and entrepreneurs, what do we need? How does these 6 points of the compass apply to helping businesses grow?
The first thing you need to do, we've already alluded to in the cash model, is that for your business to grow, first you have to change your mindset. In actual fact, we can work out together the right strategies for your business to grow, but unless you believe it can happen, unless you think that things can be done in a new way, in a different way in your business, it won't happen. So the difference that made the biggest difference in the work with those businesses to scale was the mindset piece. It was to get them to open up to believing that we could achieve so much more than was ever achieved before. And when you stretch people in their thinking, and then you support that with, here's the how, you shift people's belief and opinion about what is possible. And that's what I aim to do. And that's why mindset, I don't want it to come across as all sort of soft and cuddly. This is a tool to elicit performance out of yourself and out of your team.
Yeah.
If you put a really stretched target on your team and they go, there's no way, the team aren't going to deliver on it and they're not even going to try. So that's where mindset's crucial. Then in the how piece, the strategy piece, the strategy piece, I think the first thing you need to do now is get really close to your customers to find out, how are their needs changed or are changing, so that you make sure that you're still fulfilling or meeting a need. And if those needs have slowed right off, who else could you serve and in what way? So, you're going to have some customers that are running after school clubs or soft play centres. How could you serve online? Or do you have to look at a whole different population other than children in order to bring those skills to bear? New target market. Do you take it to social distance parties? I don't know, but my point here is if the
social
needs
parties,
for kids, kids parties, but for if the needs of your marketplace or your traditional customer base has changed, who else has a need that you've got the skills to be able to help? And I think that's a really fundamental question to think.
Nice. And I guess that's kind of a lot of that's also around market research, isn't it? And doing some due diligence as well and things like that, right?
Yeah.
What were the other 4 parts of that compass? So you've got mindset, market research, and needs.
So you start off with step 1 is purpose. We alluded to that earlier on with the kind of the North Star analogy. So it is purpose. Step 2 is mindset. Step 3 is outcome. In other words, you need to know where you're going. Mm-hmm. If you're an athlete, you want to win, or you want to be on the podium. In all of those 84 events, I asked all the members of the audience, how many of you here, put your hand up, have got written down goals for your business for the next 1, 2, and 3 years? 20% or less of the room every single time. Whether I was, in Plymouth or Glasgow, it was exactly the same. So businesses haven't got that. So, it's pretty fundamental, but so you need to have outcome clear about where you're going. So that's step 3. Step 4 is strategy. And I share with you a number of strategic planning models that enable you to get a new perspective on your business. Step 5 is capability. So if we're going to grow, we need to scale our business. We need to build capability. And I break that down into a also handily titled mnemonic called SCALE. So we'll look at systems, we look at cash, we look at advance, which is innovation, so we can keep moving forward. We look at leadership and culture, and we look at effectiveness, your personal effectiveness and that of your team. So that's step 5, that's capability to scale. And then step 6 is action and accountability. None of that happens unless we take action. None of those results can be achieved until we take action, and we have accountability mechanisms in our business to get the best performance out of everybody.
Very good. I know that action is my middle name. You know that, Gavin. I know
for sure. And fast.
Very fast. I don't move slow. You know that. It's all good. Listen, we could talk for a long time. I know that some of the things that we're talking about right now, it's conversations which could be going on for many, many hours, isn't it? Business strategy, mindset, the business strategy compass as well. There's a lot to take in, guys. And the thing is, all of it can be applied for people, whether if you're running a business right now that's struggling, or if you're running a business where you're on the cusp of something, but you're maybe you're scared of taking the next step. Because I know there's a lot of people, aren't there, Gav, that maybe are afraid because of the economies around the world or the businesses and things like that. And I think there's times when you have to be courageous.
And back to the whole piece around team and working with other people, Simon Sinek says that we can be so much more courageous when we know that somebody's got our back. So we will be braver in those circumstances. So that's why you need to be a part of either a mastermind with a coach and other business owners, or making sure that you're working closely with other people in business that you respect, that you can use as a sounding board.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, guys. What's really important is that it doesn't. Each and every single one of us are on different journeys. We're all in different businesses, and I take that into consideration, into account. But all I say to each and every single one of you is it's so crucial to have someone, whether it be a business mentor, whether it be a friend, or just someone that's got some experience that can help you, that you can bounce off new ideas, because there's nothing more, I suppose, has massive value to whatever it is. And throw your ego away sometimes. You have to throw your ego away. Because I don't know about you, Gavin, you may have worked with some business owners and their egos are so big that they just see, asking for help as a weakness rather than a strength, right?
Yeah, sure. Or they believe that they know how it should be, and whilst they flirt with the idea of coaching or mentoring or consulting, they're not really open to the things that you've got to suggest.
Exactly. I met so many business owners, Gavin, right, especially over the last 10 years or so, and you meet people that have been in business for such a long period of time, and they'll say, well, that's not the way we do things around here. No, back in 1986, this is what worked for us. No, guys, listen, we're in 2020. Whatever worked 20, 30 years ago, trust me, does not work now.
I have the same debate with my dad, bless him. I love him to bits. He's knocking on the door of 80. Gavin, what I have over you is the University of Life. Yeah, okay, Dad. Now, I know I've got more experience than you, more miles under the belt. Yes, but what worked in the 80s isn't working in the 2020s, I can assure you. So yes, I live that debate. And I just hope when I get to his years of wisdom that I won't be adopting the same approach, but I guess that's part of him aging.
Absolutely. So guys, I hope that you've enjoyed our conversations with me and Gavin, by the way.
So let me tell you where you can find out more about the book.
Yes, the book. Sorry, I was just about to say that. When does your book come out, by the way?
So it comes out 30th of July, and really, really excited about this. So to find out more, I need to also tell you a little bit of backstory very quickly why I wrote it. I kind of grew up in Survive, and I've just made reference to my dad now, but he was a commission-only salesman, so he only got paid in a month based on what he sold. So some months, we ate well, and some months we didn't. And I was very aware of that instability. Could we go on holiday as a family, etc. And then when an entrepreneurial father went on and moved from set up his own business, moved from operating out of 2 rooms in his own house to taking on a 9,800 square foot big office premises. And he set up 4 businesses to make ends meet. He worked 14, 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 hours a week. I was in the early stages of my KPMG education by then and training. And I used to do his cash flow forecast once a fortnight and then go off down the motorway thinking, how on earth is he going to survive until I see him next? So I grew up with that survive thing. And I also grew up with the consequences it had on his marriage, the consequences it had on how little he saw of his children as we grow up. And so I wrote it if I wish I'd been able to give him a manual when he was growing his own business. I wish I'd had the same manual when I started mine back in 2002, because I've kind of relived some of what my dad imprinted in me in terms of my own business journey.
You follow your parents' footsteps in a sense.
You do. You? So, I wrote it for people like me and my dad, who are dads who are putting so much money into, so much time, energy, and effort into their business. They're spending little time on their relationship and little time with their children. And I want them to have, as business owners, the success that they've always dreamt of, why they went into business in the first place, but also have the rewards, but not only financially, but in terms of time, so they can create better quality of relationships while there's still time. So that's the motivator or the driver behind it. But to find out more about the book and how it can help you survive and thrive, head across to surviveandthrive.cc, www.surviveandthrive.cc. You can grab yourself a free copy of the book. I cover the cost of the book. You just need to cover the cost of the postage and handling. But yeah, I'm really excited to get these strategies out to everybody.
And is that a book available worldwide? Because I know we have listeners from all over the world.
Yeah, certainly. It's available worldwide. Absolutely.
Great. I have to admit, though, I do admire people like your dad, because those are the people that I suppose set, entrepreneurs and business owners like us up, and, and then we can teach maybe some new things, maybe our children or people that we teach and mentor and coach and whatever it is. So thank you, Dad.
Thanks, Adam.
So good.
I'll get him to listen to this.
He's going to listen to this episode of me and you, and he's going to be like, "Oh, that's so kind, Gavin." Anyway, so it's all good. Listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversations, as I always do with you, Gavin. So, guys, make sure that you head on over to surviveandthrive.cc and grab your free copy. When does it come out? July 30th, did you say?
July 30th.
July 30th. So you get access to that, and Gavin's giving it to you as a gift for free. It's a no-brainer. All you do is cover the postage. Come on, guys. It's a no-brainer. That's really, really generous of him. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode and this show of the Game Changers Experience. Make sure that you plug and play into the next show. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers Experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.